Yes, welcome into Foxboro Rush. George Balekji here with Travis Thomas.
Yeah.
You're rocking along to that intro song,
I love that song. That's my song, George. That's my jam.
As T likes to say, what a rush. We got plenty for you guys today. Hunter Henry and Jacoby Brissett with glowing reviews of rookie quarterback Drake Maye as he continues to make progress throughout the offseason. I sat down with comedian Sam J, who is coming off her heater at the Tom Brady roast. She stopped by the studios. Awesome human being. Awesome story. Good interview. You guys will love hearing that. And then finally, we rounded up ranking our NFC South quarterbacks. And, of course, make sure to like, review, subscribe as well. Wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, to Foxboro Rush. Hold my banner. Boss has entered the chat. Extra time, 3:10 to left. Respect our game.
Ooh.
Yes, the full-fledged podcast across all of Nesson. We got it here on Foxboro Rush. Trav, let's start out with what the vets had to say about the rook.
Okay.
Hunter Henry, who's extended this offseason, is a captain for this team, one of the leaders in the locker room, had this to say about Drake Maye. He's done a great job ever since he stepped into the building. I think he's only been here for a month. He works really hard. He's got a great attitude. He's good in the locker room. I feel like he's really listening, taking the coaching and applying it on the field too. So he's a fun guy to be around. I feel like he's really listening, taking the coaching and applying it on the field. I feel like he's really listening. Taking the coaching. Stop right there.
Well,
humility. That's what we want from a rookie that has all this talent in the world. And everything, every quote, I'll tell you how I internalize it.
Okay.
Every quote I hear about Drake Maye, I'm comparing it to what was said and what came out about Mac Jones and his false bravado, his false ego.
From the beginning, though?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Now, Mac Jones was a hard worker and all that, a good leader. He was inconsistent throughout the offseason, and he won the job, certainly, but it was against a washed-up Cam Newton. But when I'm hearing everything, especially he's really listening, it sounds like it's more than the coaching, although Hunter Henry said he's taking it. But he's really listening to the coaches, his teammates. That's what's important to me about Drake Maye.
Okay. Well, listen, to be fair, I wasn't here for the beginning of Mac Jones. I was here for the disaster that was the ending.
Sorry.
So I'm not privy to that information like you are. I remember all the reports coming out later in the Mac Jones saga of all that stuff. But as I didn't key in on the same part as you. You know, listening and taking the coaching and all that. I know I sound like Belichick here, but, like, do your job, right? Like, I'm not going to give you a cookie because you're doing what you're supposed to do. The quote that got me about this was, he's a fun guy to be around. So now I don't sound like Bill, because Bill was not a fun guy to be around. I think Drake Maye coming in, being himself, being happy-go-lucky. We see him at the Bruins playoff game. We see him at the Celtics playoff games. Having fun, smiling. He just seems like a really happy kind of guy, full of energy. I think that's the key. Because, look, if you come in as a rookie and you're the third pick overall and you play that position, and now, granted, there's been a couple guys since, but we understand forever, if you play quarterback for the New England Patriots, you know who you're going to be compared to, who the standard is. You're living in that shadow forever. It's just like being a star for the Chicago Bulls. You're forever going to live in that shadow. So you could come in uptight, and I would understand. It's a lot of pressure on you. We saw him get the bag. I mean, look now, he's the savior. Now, they're going to bring him along slow, much to my chagrin, but they are. They're going to develop him. I get it. So we shouldn't, in theory, see him anytime soon, in theory, as a starting quarterback. I know we'll talk about that till we're blue in the face. But he's going to be the guy, right? So if he came in here uptight, very serious, deadpan, clenching his teeth, I would understand it. Even if it's not his personality, if he came in here with that approach, I wouldn't knock him for it. The fact that this, veteran in Hunter Henry, who's been around quarterbacks and been on other teams and been around the league, is telling you that this kid is fun to be around, that's what spoke to me, because it just tells me he's being himself. All the things we see off of the football field in terms of his personality, and we heard all this in the pre-draft stuff as well, that he's cool, he's a cool guy, all that. Listen, I mean, we had an intern here at Nesson that was a UNC kid, and I asked him about Drake Maye when he was here.
I was wondering where this is going.
And this was well before, Drake Maye. This was rumored that Drake Maye maybe could end up a Patriot. We didn't know anything. We were still in the football season. And he said he was super cool. So And that's a kid that could have lied and been like, I mean, this guy,
Reputation precedes.
he could have just been like, he's a you-know-what. And he didn't. He said he's really cool. So I just think him being himself, given all the pressure, given all the weight on his shoulders, I think that says a lot more about him than, he's listening to the coaches and he's doing what he's supposed to do. That's what the hell he's supposed to be. He better be doing that.
But not every rookie with this kind of level and confidence.
True.
It says to me, the mix of he's listening and he's fun to be around.
Yeah.
It's not arrogance for him. It's confidence.
Right.
And with the confidence comes, I can be myself. I can be a fun dude.
That's
he
right.
is a leader, and that goes back to how he resonated and connected with his teammates, spoke to his leadership. So on both folds. I love him. Yeah, be fun, man. Make it light.
Yeah.
Make it light in the locker room. Be a friend to these guys and someone they want to go to battle with.
That's
Mac
right.
Jones wasn't that for this locker room. So to me, everything I draw to, you effed up all the way with the past draft pick. How's this one coming along? I like where he's starting. He's listening and he's fun. Checks both boxes.
You bring up a good point. By the way, George, this is the new culture here, right? It's more fun. It's more be yourself. Tom Brady, everyone tells you, is a cool guy, but I'm sure, especially early on in his career, he had to be everything I just described. Super serious about his business, stoic, probably didn't show a lot of that personality earlier on when he was just trying to earn his way on this roster. Obviously, two different situations there. Drake Maye is the guy from day one. We know that. But now, under Drake Maye, everyone says it's more loosey-goosey. It's more fun. You can be yourself. You can actually smile. So that's what you're getting here from Drake Maye. It's clearly a new day here.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Hopefully they have fun in the regular season. All right. Now this is from Jacoby Brissett, who is QB1 right now and should be week 1. But we'll see unless Drake Maye earns the job. Every day he's getting better. The good thing about it is it's not like, I got it right now.
Right.
He just constantly is trying to find ways to get better, making some nice throws out there, and you're seeing his progression come alive. Again, humility box, check, man.
Yes.
Not like, and this is where I say when he's really listening, Hunter Henry's talking about when he's giving him pointers, when he's talking to him, trying to speak of this is where I want the ball at this time in this location.
Right.
Drake's like, cool, got it. Not, well, you know what? I want you a few yards deeper, and I want you breaking more of a shallow in than a deep in when you come on these cross. No, he's listening and he's saying, cool. All right, taking it in, taking the coaching, taking the criticism, the critique he gets from his teammates and his coaches. That's what you want.
Yeah.
And for Jacoby to say you're seeing his progression come along, that's him saying, too, you're seeing this kid pick things up and get better. And you know what, Trav? He should be. Because what are they doing? No pads on, really.
That's right. Yep.
It's a light part of the offseason. When you get to training camp, that's when you really see the separation be made for these players.
Yeah.
But at this point, at least from day one to day whatever we're at right now, there's growth happening for Drake Maye.
Yeah, well said. And you bring up a great point. I mean, listen, anyone can look good in shorts throwing against the air, right? I mean, that's what it is. But I will say this about Jacoby Brissett. I think he's keeping it a little too real here. And that's probably one of the reasons why you sign a Jacoby Brissett to be a bridge guy. There are only certain people in any industry, quite frankly, who can be bridge people, who can come into a job knowing damn well there's a young pup behind me. I have to help get them ready for the gig, and then I'm going to exit stage right at some point. And look, a lot of quarterbacks could not handle that situation. A lot of guys will be looking over their shoulder. Obviously, the famous examples come to mind, but there's countless ones that we don't know about. But just off the top of my head, Brett Favre, was an absolute you-know-what to Aaron Rodgers. And I remember a quote from him back in the day where he's like, it's not my job to prepare him. He needs to be ready on his own. Aaron Rodgers, in turn, I believe was a D to Jordan Love as well. So these things happen, but those are famous examples. I'm sure in every bridge quarterback to rookie quarterback scenario, not all veteran QBs are Jacoby Brissett. They are playing for their own damn lives, right? Playing to, hey, if the kid's not ready, I'm your guy anyways. And then obviously we know they're playing for their next team down the line. Jacoby Brissett, his quotes, all OTAs, and I'm sure this will continue, have been just spot on, so honest, so glowing of Drake Maye that I feel as though, George, at some point along the way when we do get on pads and these guys are actually hitting each other and playing football, Jacoby Brissett may be the type to say, you know what? The kid's ready. He is dynamic. I'm seeing stuff I've never seen. I've been in this league up 10 years. This kid is the truth. He's ready to go. Jacoby Brissett just feels like that kind of guy. It's not that he's not competitive. It's not that he doesn't want to play. but he knows. I mean, he's being super honest in all this stuff. This is, again, going back to the Belichick days. If Belichick was here, you wouldn't get these quotes from Jacoby Brissett, and you know it. So I think because he's allowed to kind of keep it real, he's keeping it too damn real, if you ask me, George.
I don't think those comments will ever come out because if the Patriots aren't on par, like Drake Maye could be ready.
Yep.
If the team isn't ready to support him,
Fair.
they're going to tell Jacoby, you keep that thing locked up. Because if he comes out and goes, man, this kid's good, he's ready to play.
Right.
Then the pitchforks come out from the fans. Play
it
Drake
fuels
Maye.
the fire. Yeah.
Why are you playing Jacoby?
Right.
All right, last one from Jacoby Brissett. He's been here for 3.5 weeks on Drake Maye, a month, and he's made tremendous strides. Not only calling the plays, so that is communicating the plays from Alex Van Pelt, the play caller, to the huddle, to his players, but footwork, that's big. Throwing the ball, we knew he could do that. I'm putting myself in these quotes, by the way, for the folks listening.
I was wondering, wow, he said a lot of examples here.
And his overall understanding of the offense. This is good. You know what this says to me, man? For all these quotes, I'm going to summarize them all into one. Hunter Henry, Jacoby Brissett, veterans of the game, leaders in this locker room. They respect the rookie. Because when you're asking questions about it, to go into detail like they are, as detailed as they'll get. And I think Hunter Henry is great with the media, where he will take the hard questions.
Yeah.
He gives it thought, and he answers you, and he gives you as much as he can. He doesn't go all the way with insight, and you know, that's fine. He doesn't have to. But he does give you something. Both of them are showing their cards a little bit of what they think of Drake Maye. They respect him. They see the work ethic he has. They see the growth that he has coming along from day one to now.
Yep.
So I just think everything coming out of what you want out of camp, what do the vets, especially a guy that's going to take Jacoby's job one day, what does he think of Drake Maye? They both love him.
Listen, bro, these quotes from Jacoby continue to just add fuel to the fire that I'm thinking we're seeing here. George, I may be ready for a recount. I said week 8 at home against Tyrod Taylor and the Jets.
It is trending that way.
I mean,
but that defense is still top 3.
You know, George, I now have my eyes on the preseason. I mean, Carolina, Philly, go to Washington. I mean, there'll be more Patriots at that game anyways.
Now. Yeah.
Listen, bro.
Yep.
Drake may be the starter by week 1. George, I'm just saying, this Jacoby Brissett stuff, all these glowing reviews, I would at least, look, I already told you I'm King Petty. I would at least have to throw one line out of, yeah, it looks great, footwork, always ready, everything's cool. When he's ready to go, it'll be something to see. But right now, I'm just focused on my reps. Because, you know, I'm the starting quarterback. I'm QB1. Hello, anyone? Jacoby Brissett, is this thing on? Tip your servers. Like, you're giving too much props to this kid, bro. Too much. Just relax. All these Jacoby Brissett quotes have me looking to move my timeline up. Because it's like, well, damn, dog, do you even want the starting job? I mean, just give it to the kid.
He wants that job.
Does
it got taken from him in Cleveland, right? But also, this like Drake Maye right now is a better thrower of the football than Jacoby Brissett. But how consistently can he be that in an NFL game?
Right.
And it's more important than Drake Maye to me here. It is the 5 guys up front. Because right now, you don't have Caden Wallace taking reps at left tackle. You have Caden Wallace taking reps at right tackle. What's going to happen when Michael Winu comes back into the fold?
Right.
Who is your left tackle? If they can protect him. Because I'm not worried about Drake Maye's confidence, and I want him to get actual game reps this season. I'm talking about a good sample size, not 2 or 3. I want minimum 5 games from him. But only if the offensive line up front can block for him and keep him protected and at least give him enough time where all this talk about footwork and his progressions and his IQ and communicating plays, I don't want him to revert back to the bad habits he had in college because he had to start from scratch with him and overemphasize the footwork for Drake Maye. So if the offensive line's good and if the receivers are at least getting separation and getting open so when he makes his reads, he can make throws, then I'm fine with that. I don't think it's going to happen week 1 unless everyone across the board overperforms throughout the offseason. And Drake Maye's graft of an NFL system is tremendous. So that's where, like, Drake Maye right now is a better passer than Jacoby Brissett. But there's so much that goes into being an NFL quarterback. And part of that is taking care of the football. And I'm not talking about just not throwing interceptions and not getting strip sacks when you're in the pocket. But when you miss, how much are you missing by, you know? Because the margin of error is so slim. If you're going to miss, at least be on target. Because if you miss by a wide margin, it's going to be picked off. And how can you battle through adversity within games, not within week to week? So Drake Maye has to show that as well. But your offensive line has to protect them, and your receivers have to be capable of getting open and playing in the system too.
Okay, I agree with everything you said. Ready? But I have a question for you, and I want to preface this question by saying you nor I would ever wish injury on anyone. George, I mean, the way you're telling this, right, with the line, no one getting open, if Jacoby Brissett goes down, if he gets injured, where are you, George, in terms of the depth chart? Are you okay with that timeline that you have in mind for developing this kid and letting him marinate? Are you okay with moving the timeline up because of injury, or is that why you would prefer to keep maybe a Bailey Zappi to, hey, Jacoby Brissett goes down early in this season, couple weeks in, we'll call it for the sake of combo. Let's go to Bailey Zappi to prolong bringing the kid in too soon because of all those ancillary things that you're saying. Because I think, again, my friend, this is where we disconnect. If Jacoby Brissett goes down a couple weeks in, bring the kid out.
Yeah.
And I understand my line stinks. And I understand my receivers, you know, I don't have a true number one. And everything you laid out is true. And I agree. But that's why I would actually want to see the kid. I want to see, can you move around the way I think you can, the way you did at UNC? Let me see that. Can you elevate your wide receivers? Because later in your career, brother, when you're making all the cabbage, you're not going to have the best wide receivers in the league because, you know, that's how this thing works. So I get that it's maybe unfair to ask that from a rookie, but I want to see flashes of it. I want to see, is he capable of it? I want to see, can he move around with a bad offensive line? Because, again, the review, when you get the big boy money, okay, you're not going to have the best offensive line either. So I want to start to see some of these things early on in Drake Maye's career. Would you keep a Bailey Zappi just for that? In case Brissett goes down early, you go to Zappi and still make the kid wait, or you come into my way of seeing things with this?
No, exactly for that reason. I want everything to be on schedule for him.
Okay.
I don't need you to have an all-pro offensive line, but just a unit of 5 guys that can come together and be serviceable and just keep him on time with the entire flow of the offense. And it's more than just protecting Drake Maye. It's setting up the run game and executing there. So that's what I need to see it all come together. Because, yeah, Jacoby Brissett will essentially be, he is a sacrificial lamb.
Right.
Until, let's say, week 6 at the earliest. And then if Drake Maye's ready and you like what you see from the offensive line, shoot, if this happens week 4 or 5 and you think the offensive line's ready, throw Drake Maye out there. Because the best way he will grow and learn is actual live game reps. But until then, I need it to be ready. And to me, it's more about protecting the kid from regressing. Because when you didn't have an offense, especially play calling wise, capable, you didn't have offensive play callers capable of keeping Mac Jones at least where he was in the same level. He took a step back under Patricia and Judge. By the time Bill O'Brien got around, he was broken. And that's also with an offense. Pass catching wise, offensive line, protections and everything and execution was terrible because you don't want to relive how you messed up Mac Jones.
Okay.
If Jacoby goes down and everything's right,
yes,
Drake Maye put him out there. If your offensive line is good, throw him out there. But if it's not, yeah, Bailey Zappi, sacrificial lamb. And meanwhile, while you're doing this, go figure out who's going to be your left tackle. Go figure out who's going to be your left
So if
guard.
I'm hearing you correctly, you're fine with going to Drake Maye sooner than your timeline, only if it's injury. That it's really the only way you kind of see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's injury, but everyone's ready, go with Drake Maye. But if the team isn't ready to keep a rookie quarterback in the right spot, I don't want any part of it. And it's a big part too, man. We talk about progressions now. Like I said, this isn't really the thick of it yet. When he gets out on the field, how is he making his reads, play to play, and go like that? All right, this is a great debate. We're talking Drake Maye here, but I spoke with Sam J about her roast of Tom Brady, the true GOAT, and of course, the GOAT for the Patriots as well. Check this out. It was a great time talking with her. Sam J in the studio.
What's good?
Thanks for stopping by. You're in the middle of your tour.
Yeah,
across the country. How's that been so far?
Pretty good. You know what I mean? It's been moving. I can't be mad. You know, people are turning up and showing out, so it's been fun.
How is it whenever you come back to Boston and perform? Come back to your home city?
This is only going to be my second time in September
really?
at the Wilbur. Yeah, so I did it last year around June. And this will be my second time coming home. So the first time it was cool. We sold out. It was a good time. So I assume this time's going to be the same. You know what I mean? I'm hoping.
I would imagine you were a household name before with your stuff on SNL and obviously your series you had on HBO Max and Peacock and all that. But after the roast, I would imagine stuff's changed a little bit.
Absolutely.
And it's not just you being on the roast. Like, you went up there and killed in your time.
Thank you, man.
So what's it been like after the roast, like the aftermath for you?
More white men recognizing me.
Hand up, I guess I'm one of them.
Yeah. A lot of older white guys like, you're Sam J. And I'm like, yeah. So I think definitely the fan base is changing, you know what I mean? And just getting broader for sure.
What was that like? Like, when did you find out you were doing it? How did you prep for that? And you went out, you're like, I'm going to go at Drew Bledsoe. I'm going to go at Tom Brady, and you brought the heat for them.
Yeah. Jeff Ross called me like maybe 6 days or 7 days before the roast, something like that. And he was like, hey, you want to roast Tom Brady? And I was like, hell yeah. And I didn't really realize how big of a deal it was, which sounds stupid and retro, but I just wasn't thinking about it. Like, this is Tom Brady. This is Netflix. It's not going to be like, I'm still putting it in the terms of a festival. I'm like, oh, it's just going to be some like little cool festival thing. I'm not thinking it's going to be like this big live stream thing that everybody's going to watch,
Yeah.
So, I mean, immediately I just went into trying to get my jokes together because I didn't have that many days to get them together. And my friend Megan Gailey helped me. My homie Radio Raheem helped me. And then, of course, the writers in the roast were very good about like just, guiding me, letting me know what people were already doing, kind of what to stay away from. And, everybody who wrote for the roast was just so phenomenal and such a great staff. So I just had all that support, you know what I'm saying? And kind of just went in with some ideas of kind of where I wanted to go with it. And then we just kind of walked them through and talked them out, me, Megan, and Radio. And then I would just go to the cellar, work on them every night, refine them in front of an audience until I just got it to where I thought it was ready to go.
How do you do that in front of an audience without like the people you're roasting being there? Do you kind of
set it up?
It's very awkward.
You got to set it up a little bit because it's super awkward. It's a super awkward thing to do. And it still doesn't feel great. Like you're not getting the best response because they're just kind of like, well, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And we have no reference point for any of it. So it is way more just to like say the stuff out loud and kind of hear the rhythm of the jokes and how things are landing. But you can't really get a good gauge on like, is this going to work?
Yeah. Now, was there any that were shot down? Because you go up there, you're comparing Drew Bledsoe's Super Bowl ring to a strap-on. The OBGYN jokes you're saying with Tom Brady, one last go. I didn't know comedy could still go there, and that's what I loved about the roast. It was like refreshing. But was there any part of you were given, your jokes you submitted, and you're like, hey, you can't go here, you can't go there?
No, not for me. They didn't tell me, they didn't give me any parameters, really. They were kind of just like, do your thing. And I was like, okay. And then when I sent them the jokes I had, they were like, yo, these are great. You know what I mean? So I was like, all right, cool.
Was there any point when you're staring down Tom Brady, going at him, making those roast jokes, you're like, in your head, you're like, holy shit, that's Tom Brady?
The whole time. The whole time. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, it's Tom Brady. I hope he doesn't get mad at me because I love him.
Yeah. I think, in the beginning you saw, like, when you were starting your joke, he's sitting there like, where is this going?
Yeah.
And by the end, he's keeled over laughing his ass off.
Yeah.
If you had the time, would you have went at Bill Belichick? You had some jokes for him?
I didn't have any jokes for Bill. No, I didn't actually. I was really specific because I was like, I only got so much time, and I had only so much time to write the jokes. So I was like, I picked my 3, and I was like, I'm just gonna hone in on this and get this as like good as I could get it.
Who do you think were the best? Like, who impressed you as the non-comedians that went up?
Oh, non-comedians.
No, you know what? F it. Who impressed you the most that
night?
Oh,
Nikki Glaser for sure. She killed it. She was so funny. I was impressed by Edelman. He landed a lot of the planes very well, I thought. I was impressed by Gronk, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I thought his was really funny. Peyton Manning
was
really good. And I thought his was really good. Drew Bledsoe actually did a good job, too. A lot of the athletes, I was surprised, like, they had the timing down and they were, like, landing the planes. You know what I mean? I was like, whoa, okay. They're doing this. And that kind of made it fun to do, too, because you could see that they were, like, really getting into it. But I would say probably Peyton Manning and Edelman impressed me the most.
Growing up a Patriots fan, did it hurt you have to say like Peyton Manning was good at it? But I mean, like Tom kicked his ass. It's not like it was Eli.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want him to be good at it. Like when he came out, I was like, boo in my head. I was booing out loud.
I feel that.
I was like, boo. And then I was like, oh man, he's likable. Like dang, he's actually likable. Bummer. But if it was Eli, I wouldn't have cared what he did.
You hate him no matter what.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered to me.
I got to admit, because I grew up a Patriots fan, but when I was in college, at one point I interned for the Giants. It was Odell Beckham's rookie season, so Eli's still there.
He's
I
cool.
honestly hate. Yeah.
Damn.
You know who's cool? Who I hate too? David Tyree.
Damn.
The two people I hate the most in my childhood who
They
ripped
be
my
cool.
heart out.
Yeah, they be actually cool when you talk to them.
You meet them, you're like, I actually hate you, and I
Yeah.
hate that about them so much.
That's messed up. That you told me he's cool.
When you met Brady, were you starstruck at all? Like I know I saw you took photos with him after and everything.
Yeah. I mean, like in my head, I don't think I hope I didn't act like it, but in my, in my brain, of course, I'm like, oh my God, it's Tom Brady, like, but like I was trying to be like, chill.
What was it like getting up close to him? I mean, there was like the collagen jokes or whatever Edelman was saying
Right.
about his face. But when you get up and close to him, I mean, it's like candidly. Does he like? I saw the photo you posted with him. I'm like, that guy looks like too much work. But when you got up close to him, it's like, hey, it's Tom Brady. He's just a good-looking dude.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't judge Tom at all. I think everything he does is perfect. I agree. I think he's just like the perfect being. Like I don't like people say stuff. I'm like, I just don't see it. It's kind of like shallow Hal. Like you can't get me to see that.
I think it's the hate on him the most. I mean, he won. He was successful wherever he went.
Yeah.
Obviously, a good-looking dude. You know, he got to that point in his career. He's like, I'm going to do the modeling thing. Who cares?
Yeah.
And he was unbeatable. So, yeah, people are going to hate him no matter what he does.
He's like, he wouldn't even lose his hair. It started to go. He was
I
like,
know.
nah, I don't
know.
lose nothing.
He's like 57. He's got more hair than me, and I'm 30.
Hell yeah.
And I hate
think
that.
that's so cool.
I'll do the same thing when I get the money for it. Well, for you growing up here, also, what was that like to get the call? Was there any connection of like, hey, you're from Dorchester, you're a Boston sports fan? Or was it solely like Jeff Ross knew how good of a comedian you were and he wanted you up here on that?
I think it was both.
Okay.
I've known Jeff for a long time. You know what I mean? I met him, early into my career and stuff. And, we've been on the road with Dave together, so we know each other pretty well. And also, he knows I'm from Boston, you know what I mean? So I think it was like a win-win type of a situation, and I think they were happy to have at least one person from the city, like, on the dossier,
Mm-hmm. Did you know the magnitude of the roast when you were doing it? Like, did you understand?
No, not
Really?
at all. I was being dumb. I kind of minimize things in my mind intentionally because I just don't want to get overwhelmed by them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So like as soon as I heard it, I was like, just do the work. I just went right into like write your jokes and da-da-da. So I wasn't thinking about it. Like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I just wasn't thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got to the forum, I kind of was like, oh, okay, we're at the forum. And then my manager was like, yeah, we need you down at the red carpet in like 10 minutes. And I was like, oh, there's like a carpet for this? And she was like, yes, Sam. Like, what do you think this is? And I was like, okay. And then I'm like, go to the carpet and it's like people like flashing and like calling names. And I'm like, and I looked at my manager. I was like, so this is like a big deal. And she was like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, but then it's like, yeah, duh, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Netflix.
Exactly.
They
Them
spent a
coming
lot of
together.
money on this. Like
They're going to make it right.
They're gonna make it right. You know
Hype
what I
it up.
mean? And then when I went to like run the rehearsal and I saw like the audience and it was like Kim Kardashian and all the little card placements for who was gonna be sitting where. And then I realized like, yeah, everyone's gonna be coming like dressed up. I was like, oh, this is like a thing.
You knew, I didn't know if anyone knew Kim K would be there before. I'm surprised she was there at all.
Yeah. I didn't find out till I went to rehearse like 2 hours before.
Yeah, I think it's better off. The second I'd see that name, like let alone Tom Brady's and whoever was there, the second I see that name, like, oh shit, this is gonna be a big deal.
That's what I thought. Seriously. It was serious. Like once I saw that, I was like, oh, this is like a thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
It's a good thing you brought a good fit with you, like to rock there, not knowing the'd be a red carpet, because that matters.
They told me like to wear a suit, so I was like, cool, I'll wear a suit. But I don't know. I just thought for the optics of it, they wanted us in suits.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking like, I just wasn't putting it together. It was very silly of me.
Did you grow up watching roasts?
I have not seen every single roast, but I've seen a good amount.
Yeah, so you like knew it, but to be that big.
And yeah. I knew what it was, and that's why I thought they wanted us in the suits or whatever. I was like, oh, they're gonna have us in the suits or whatever. And it was at a festival, so that's the difference too. I was just putting it all within the guise of the festival.
Yeah.
And I wasn't thinking about it as its own thing.
I understand that. And then was it the next day, like, or actually, I mean, like night of, your phone blowing up? Maybe followers going up on Instagram, whatever it may be.
It was like overnight kind of for sure.
I'll tell you, because we were watching it in the office and you got up and like I'm listening, but I'm like typing stuff, like I'm more listening to the comedy. And then you started going and it's like the strap-on joke. I'm like, who the F is this? One of my coworkers walked on, he's like, oh, that's Sam J. I'm like, look it up, you're from Dorchester. And then you did the Brady jokes. I was like, holy shit. Because you just went. And like, whatever, how much time did they give you? Like, do you know how much time you get up there?
I feel like we all had like 5 to 6 minutes or 4 to 6 minutes or something like that.
Whatever your 5 minutes was, like you went out, like shot like 7 for 7 from deep, had a posterized dunk. But like I think that was sick. Was like you went up and there was the big names, the Jeff Rosses, the Burt Kreischer's, Andrew Schultz was there, right? But you went on and you just put your imprint on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so that's why I ask, like, you know, did it kind of like amplify even more, I guess, on the comedy
Absolutely.
scene? But I feel like, you know, comedy fans knew who you were, though.
Yeah, that would say, like, I wouldn't say necessarily on the comedy scene. Like, all those comics that were there, I've known for a long time.
Yeah.
We've known each other. They know me very well. So it wasn't like that. And, you know, I'm pretty known within comedy, not to, you know, stroke my own strokey.
No,
but,
you're good. I'm a casual at comedy.
I do think
you know?
it did like bring me more out of like the niche comedy people that know comedy, you know, and it kind of expanded that audience to casual comedy fans, people that just like Tom Brady. You know what I mean? It was like it brought in kind of everybody for a moment in a way that I haven't had a moment like that yet in my career for sure.
It's cool because it bridges fandom. I mean, that's the perfect way you put it. There's the sports fans and people that love Tom Brady, like Buccaneers fans. You know, it's like, you know, a good few years for him. And then there's the comedy fans that are watching because it's a roast and it kind of connects everything on that.
Exactly.
And to put you on completely like different people's radars and everything.
100%.
I mean, for me, it's like, you know, like Bill Burr is my favorite comedian because I feel like what he says is so true. Like, you know, like it's accurate for real life. Obviously, Chappelle's great. Like those are the guys I know. I saw him live and it was like, he was here at the Garden and it was like the gift of his storytelling. And, you know, it was like 17,000 people, but you felt like he was talking to you, which is like what like boggled my mind, like truly gifted, not talented. Like he had a gift.
Yeah.
But like you go up and do that. It's like, all right, now I know Sam J. I knew Andrew Schultz, but like now I know him. Nikki Glazer, same thing like that. So what does a roast like that like do for comedy, you think, as a whole? Is it just, again, it bridges the audiences?
I think it bridges the audiences. I think it also just like to see us doing, because really like at the end of the day, it's a little bit insular, right? We're up there, we're competing with each other. We want to like out roast each other. We're having our fun little back and forth. We're laughing. It shows like the community of it. And I think sometimes people will like isolate somebody like Schultz and be like, I don't like his style of comedy, or I don't like these jokes, or these jokes are offensive. But when you see all different types of people sitting together, joking together, hanging out, throwing shots at each other that are harsh as hell, it's like, yo, it's a lot more even playing field than that. You know what I mean? And I think it shows that as well.
It's kind of like what comedy is. It's like all the different jokes coming together, different type of deliveries and everything too. On all that. What about Patriots? Like, what do you think? Drake Maye, Gerard Mayo?
I don't know, man. I'm just gonna watch. I'm just gonna chill and watch.
The pain of watching Mac Jones for 3 years just came through.
I don't know, man. I'm just gonna sit and watch.
Be patient.
Patient. I have no predictions. I have no theories.
Yeah.
I will say I'm tuning back. I will say I tuned out. I'm going to be tuning back in.
The Mac Jones era had you tuning out.
I stopped last year. I said no.
Yeah.
My brother was watching every game. I said, why are you doing this to yourself?
Why are you doing that grief?
Yeah. I said, what are you doing this to yourself for?
It's torture.
He was like, you just don't watch anymore? I said, no. There's no reason. I'm not doing it.
I think it's like one of the healthiest relationships you could have as a sports fan of like, I'm not going to watch that because I know it's going to be, and I'm not going to put that pain on myself.
I'm not going to just be up here sad every Sunday, bro.
I think patience is the right thing with May, because I think it's going to take a few years because the roster's that bad.
Yeah, I got to just
And he's going to take a few years to be like a solid starter. But the kid's ceiling's great. Like, he'll be better than Mac was ever close to being, you know?
Yeah. I agree, but we just got to chill.
Yeah. All right, you gave me your Boston Mount Rushmore. If you gave me your like top 4, your favorite, you know what? I'll give you top 5. Who are your 5 favorite Patriots players ever?
Dang.
No Mount Rushmore here. I'm giving you a little more of a roster.
Okay. Harrison.
Rodney Harrison.
McGinnis.
Should be a Hall of Famer.
Tom.
Yeah.
Vince Harry.
Yeah. Cold-blooded.
Gronk,
yeah?
Yeah.
I like that. Gronk's greatest tight end of all time. Obviously, Brady's
he's also
a go.
just fun.
Right? I think, like, his existence is the greatest because he was a pro athlete, got out there. It was okay for him to just be a frat boy. And right now, he's still, like, he makes jokes at his own expense of being dumb.
Yeah.
And, like, no one cares. There's, like, no expectations for him, which I think is awesome.
And he's way more, like, in on the joke than I think people think he is.
Good for him.
No, seriously, like I thought he showed that in the roast when he got up there. Like, he's way more in on the joke than people actually give Gronk credit for.
Yeah. Who out of like Boston athletes or Patriots players you've met, you're like, damn, he's like a real, like just a low key, salt of the earth, down to earth person?
You know, weirdly, Drew Bledsoe, after I made fun of him, I was like, he's so cool and he's so nice. And we like
Yeah?
hung out and we like drank at the Comedy Store. And I was like, this dude is rad.
Fresh off the roast.
Yeah. He like came and chilled with the comics. He's so cool.
I respect that about him of like, it's comedy. You came at me, but that was
Yeah.
funny as hell. Like I can't.
He put me
hate.
in the headlock. It was
Did he
awesome.
really?
Yeah.
He's a big dude, Drew Bledsoe. People
I was
don't
like,
know
Drew's
that.
cool as hell.
What did he say to you after? Did he give you like?
He was like, why were you so mean? And
Yeah,
then he
you're
like
like,
put me in the headlock. And then we like drank. We just did shots and stuff.
I want to end this talking a little more about your like tour across the country and you being back at the Wilbur in Boston in September too. What excites you the most? Like second show coming back to Boston.
Just the energy. I think it's just going to be so different since the roast. You know, I think more of Boston knows who I am as well. You know what I mean? And so to see just the energy, I just think the energy is going to be real live. I'm just excited because I think it's going to be like, it's going to be fire.
What makes a venue like the Wilbur special?
That's where everybody goes, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
was growing up. I was going there to see like plays with my mom, and that's where every comic came through. And especially when you first start comedy in this city, you see the little marquee outside of who's coming, and you're like, man, one day, you know, one day. It's one of those one day, and it's in your city, you know. So like being able to do that at home and have one of my one days be crossed off the list is fire.
I'm getting chills about that. And when you started, was that always like an aspiration to get into the Wilbur? Like when you were chasing open mics and everything?
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I remember at Nick's Comedy Stop, which was across the street in that club over there. And they had another room that was below the Wilbur. And they would do shows there. And I was headlining, or I was featuring one of those shows that was, and some more was at the Wilbur above my head, literally on top of me. And you could hear the laughs from the Samore show, like bleeding down into our show. And I was like, one day I'm going to be upstairs and not in this basement doing a show, you know what I mean? So like, for sure, from, you know, very early, when you start to just set benchmarks of your own city, the Wilbur is a place for Boston.
That's awesome. That's a great note to end on. Sam J, I appreciate you taking the
Thank
time.
you.
Awesome to meet you.
Nice
You're
to
a
meet you as
great
well.
person. Love
Thank
your
you.
comedy. September 7th in the Wilbur for Sam
Yeah,
J.
September 7th.
In Boston.
Grab
It's a
your
Saturday
tickets.
night. Yeah, get the tickets. Come out, support her. She's from the city. Loves it. Always represents it. Sam, again, thanks for the time.
Appreciate you.
Sam was awesome.
Yes.
Awesome human
Yes.
being.
Yes.
She took her time. Literally, Trav, she came right off the plane because she's going to Tom Brady's Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Right.
But literally right out of Logan, came to Watertown.
Wow.
Fresh off the plane, didn't even check into a hotel. When she told me that, and I said, are you on a time constraint? She's like, no, I'm good. Awesome human
Too
being.
cool.
I'm going September 7th. I can't wait to watch.
Well, I'm going with you. And by the way, she is awesome. I thought she stole the show at the roast.
Agree.
But I thought you did a great job in that interview as well. You were cussing more than her, which I have to respect, George. I mean, you're the man, brother. Great interview.
Midway through, she dropped this shit. And she's like, can I say that? I'm like, I've been cursing more than you, so I've messed it up at this point, so you're good. I let her know we could get away with that one. Sorry to my producers now, because I know how much of a headache it is to bleep it out. But check out the full interview with Sam J. You'll see him across all our podcasts, too. She had a great take on the Celtics. I'll give a little tease for Hold My Banner here. She had a great take on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And go to Hold My Banner, latest episode, to check that one out. And that's hosted by Travis Thomas and Ante Campbell, by the way, too.
Hello.
Two great dudes. All right, Trav, we said it. We're going to do them. Let's rank them.
All right.
NFC South quarterbacks.
Oh.
This is the funniest division because it is who sucks the least.
Right.
Well, actually, the best quarterback's good, Kirk Cousins. But I don't want to give away. That's my ranking. Who's your 1, 2,
I'm glad
3,
you
4?
think it's funny because this division sucks. You're right about that. Look, Kirk Cousins is number one on my list as well, and that's saying a whole lot, isn't it? When Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback in your division, a guy who never wins anything of note. But listen, statistically, what can you say? Other than wins in the playoffs, that's the only really knock you can make on Kirk Cousins. Statistically, he is one of the more consistent quarterbacks and prolific quarterbacks in this league. And with that roster, it should actually be even better if he can stay healthy, of course. And I'm going Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield last season, I thought, resurrected his career. I'm going to go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt that he can get some consistency now to his career. The Bucs obviously invested in him and believe that he can do that, so I have Baker Mayfield too. And then Derek Carr, who was number one with a bullet for me on this list just a few years ago when he arrived to the Saints. I thought the Saints were a sleeping giant, a Super Bowl contender. Boy, was I wrong. Derek Carr has regressed. He is a mess. And the whole reason the Saints got him is so they didn't have to rebuild. Guess what? You prolonged it long enough. It's not working. You're going to have to blow this whole thing up and rebuild it. Derek Carr, it's all your fault. You broke my heart. And then Bryce
Dude,
Young.
Hold on, wait, pause. Hold on.
He broke my heart.
You literally did say Saints
did.
could be a Super Bowl sleeper because of Derek Carr.
Yes.
He's always sucked.
Well,
great arm, great talent.
See, that's where
IQ
I
ain't there,
disagreed.
makes bad mistakes.
You were right in hindsight.
But
I
for
defended
you to
him.
give up on,
I defended him his whole career.
Outside of Mr. and Mrs. Carr, Derek's parents,
Yeah.
you were his third biggest fan.
Was.
Probably his wife and his dog are
Yes.
maybe your fifth.
Yes,
Man,
and I am out.
welcome
It is
to the
over.
other side.
Yeah, I have divorced Derek Carr.
Hey, Trev, I'm proud of you.
Thank you. That's
Proud of
growth. Hashtag growth. And then Bryce Young brings up the rear. But look, he could leapfrog Derek Carr this season if the guy
Deontay
can.
Johnson, Xavier Leggett
I
now?
was going to say, he's got some help now. I think Bryce Young's going to be just fine. So that's my ranking.
Yeah, I have the same exact ones,
Yeah.
1 through 4. I
How
think it's
could
the
you
first
not?
and last time we'll ever have this, right?
Right.
What you get with Kirk Cousins is a guy, you said he's efficient,
Yeah.
he's reliable, he's consistent,
Yeah.
and especially with this receiving group that he now has, Drake London, Darnell Mooney,
That's
Bijan
right.
Robinson out of the backfield,
Yep.
Kyle Pitts, even went out and got Rondale Moore, who's a Swiss Army
Good
knife.
offensive line.
Good offensive line,
Yep.
playing in the dome.
Yep.
If he comes back from his Achilles and he's fine, he's going to be great in this offense. We're going to see Drake London and Kyle Pitts, especially make big jumps in their game.
Yeah.
He's going to elevate this entire group. Baker Mayfield, I'm hesitant on because Dave Canales left. He's now the head coach in Carolina.
Okay.
But Liam Cohen does come from the Sean McVay coaching tree. So hopefully there's consistency there.
Yeah.
And you know what? My rankings are the same as yours, but as I talk through this, I'm going to flip Bryce Young and Derek Carr, and
No
I'm
problem.
projecting here because now with Xavier Leggett and Deontay Johnson adding to Adam Thielen in that receiving room and Dave Canales becoming the head coach in Carolina, if David Tepper could keep his grimy little hands off of the Carolina Panthers offense, Dave Canales will help Bryce Young grow. And now Bryce has a year of experience under his belt. It was not pretty. But Dave Canales can dig him out of that.
I
Grimy
love
little
that.
hands. Yep.
Grimy little hand. Hey, speaking of hands, if you had said this 2 years ago that you were going to leapfrog this young kid who showed us nothing so far in his career over Derek Carr, we would have went viral because we would have thrown hands right here on this show. But guess what?
Now
when
you-
you said it, guess what I did? I went like this.
Yeah, I guess I got nothing for you.
Instead of throwing hands, I threw them up in the air like, yeah, you're probably right.
I put Derek Carr last because we know what he is. He's a finished product. It is what it is. There's no more growth. Like, he is what he is for the Saints. But yeah, I just go. It's as we talk through this, and I submit my list and I think about it. I go, Dave Canales should help Bryce Young come along. Better receivers. He put on more weight after an offseason of knowing what to expect in the NFL.
Right.
If this kid could just get some semblance of protection up front, he has a much better receiving group around him.
Yeah.
And improved running game with more depth too. Just help this rookie out. I would like to see Bryce Young at least be serviceable. And if he could get to that Baker Mayfield level, then he's going to be better than Derek Carr, and he'll continue to take steps forward. There could be a leap.
He
I
could
put
be
Bryce
better.
Young at 3. He could get up to 2 on this one.
He
Trav.
could be better than Baker Mayfield. There's no doubt. I mean, the kid has all the talent in the world, but like many of those Alabama quarterbacks, they had so much help around them.
Yeah.
So until you almost can't even evaluate him until he has the necessary help around him. You're not going to get Alabama 5-star guys, but you should be able to protect him, give him a weapon, give him a run game, and then you can really evaluate what you have. That's why I thought Mac Jones got a raw deal in a lot of ways.
Oh, he definitely did, but he's a broken piece, and it's going to take more than one season
Right.
to get him back to being a starting quarterback. Hopefully, Bryce Young, it isn't that bad of what happened to him.
Right.
That's what it is. It's like, what do you have left? What's the foundation now that you built forward through with Bryce Young? Because when it comes to his IQ and his processing, when
Yeah.
he was at Alabama,
Right.
he was great. Definitely undersized, right? But put on the weight. So what do you have to build with now? What do you have to work with? And you get in someone. Dave Canales gets tracked back to Geno Smith resurrecting his career.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield resurrecting his career. Getting an extension with the Buccaneers. Can you do the same with Bryce Young? I think he can.
Bro, we've seen the comp already. It's Tua, right?
Yeah.
When Tua didn't have help and Brian Flores was head coach, he was a
hated him.
mess. He was a mess. And he was injury prone and he couldn't get anything right. All of a sudden he gets a real coach and a real system. Now look what Tua's doing. That should actually inspire Bryce Young, I think.
And it gives you some confidence that there can be something there. Hey, that wraps it up here for Foxboro Rush. Thank you guys so much for making us a part of your day. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple, Amazon. We appreciate it a ton. And leave the honest reviews as well. I love that this is an audio type of media and not visual, so I don't have to look at George. I'll take it, baby, as long as there's 5 stars next to it. And make sure to watch wherever you watch your podcast, too. YouTube, Nesson.com, Twitch as well. We're everywhere, baby. For Travis Thomas, I'm George Balekji. We'll see you guys next time on Foxboro Rush.